I knew when we did the video, How Good Am I, middle of last week, that we would have to do a follow up before it even really posted. I knew that we'd get a little bit of traction, that people would listen to it, but I also know that the firearms community, instructors and students alike, are an awful lot like politics. Some people aren't listening to what you have to say because they're not going to vote anyway. Other people, it doesn't matter what you say. If it goes against what they think, they're not going to hear it. They're simply going to vote the party line. And sometimes we talk about those as fanboys. It should go without saying that anybody that's going to possess a firearm for defensive use, whether it's at home, whether they're going to carry it, has to possess a moderate degree of skill. They have to understand safe gun handling, loading, unloading, clearing malfunctions, and be able to, with some degree of accuracy, hit a target on demand. I think one key point every instructor worth anything would talk about, you should always be a student. Every good student realizes that they need to continue to learn. I looked at the Vickers Devil Drill, shot on an 8-inch circle, 6 rounds, 6 shots, 6 seconds, with staged magazines forcing a reload, and thought a playing card was a more appropriate sized target. Tom Givens, I think, very appropriately compares FBI deadly force encounters, specifically handgun deadly force encounters, to that of what might be required of an armed citizen, what I would term a deliberate responder. The FBI numbers tell me that 59% of their armed conflicts occur within 0 to 3 yards. That tells me that I need to possess 0 to 3 yard skills, and those might not be just firearm skills. 11% of their fights occur from 3 to 7 yards, and I can put focused effort working at that distance. 21% occur from 7 to 15 yards, 9% of their fights occur from 15 to 25 yards, and at 25 yards it drops to 0%. So it gives me focus for my live fire practice sessions, as well as things I should be thinking about other than firearms when it comes to protecting myself and my family. So I think it's kind of like the question, what came first, the chicken or the egg? It's not, maybe the first question shouldn't be, how good am I? The first question posed to a student should be, how good do you need to be? And it's based on their lifestyle. It's based on their individual and sometimes unique requirements. Again, I would not want to base my skill set off mediocrity. I don't want to be just an average deliberate responder. I don't want to possess a minimum amount of skills. But once we've helped a student identify how good they need to be, then we need to help them to develop a test protocol so that they can start to answer the question, how good am I? I use the Bakersfield Police Department qualification as an example. Originally shot on a 7-inch circle, it's currently very popular, but for me, I think it's more appropriate to stick with a 5-inch scoring area, high thoracic, of that target. The old Federal Air Marshal Tactical Pistol Course, the Air Marshal Qual, if you will, often termed as the toughest law enforcement qualification that ever existed. As a test to measure anchored skills, I think the FAM TPC is an excellent course of fire. Shot at 7 yards, it includes a lot of the essential skills that I think could be critical in a deadly force encounter. And it would help a new shooter, old shooters alike, to understand the answer to the question, how good am I? The pre 9/11 air marshals had to pass that qualification before they could go on every mission set. So I think that that set of metrics used for an everyday carry person could have a valuable mindset benefit as well. Originally shot on the FBI Q target, selected because a surplus of those targets, I find it more appropriate to shoot it on a 5-inch circle, and like the shootsteel.com targets, the B and C zone, I think, are more appropriate for a deliberate responder. I've always been very interested in the Air Marshal qualification, the pre 9/11 program, the qualification. I've spent a great deal of time in research talking with the guy that created the training program, created the qualification, and I really think that it very closely mirrors what somebody that carries every single day those skills that they might need to possess. The development of any training program, of any testing protocol for that training program, has to be centered around the initial question: how good do our students need to be? So if it's posed, how good do I need to be, then the testing protocols should reflect the answer: how good am I? And very likely, especially in an institutional setting, it is a minimum set of standards. My goal is to be better tomorrow than I am today. A better instructor, a better shooter. I want to train my students to be better tomorrow than they are today. But in order to do that, to have an effective training and testing program, I have to understand how good I am today.